What that means.
Yeah,
Welcome, everyone, to episode 378 of everyone's favorite wrestling podcast, The After Marks.
I am Jay. He is.
I am the Brainless One. And Cousin Jay, we got a bit to get into this week. We had some very interesting things we found out. There is a changing of the guards in regards to the announcers for Monday Night Raw that are going to get into. I don't even know what to say with what has happened with all of that. We had another title change in professional wrestling this week that I would really like to discuss. We'll get into that as well. But I think, and it's funny too because all the craziness of those first two topics are crazy enough to kick off the podcast, and yet there is something so much more egregious that we
Yes.
need to discuss right off the bat. That is the prices for the tickets in Las Vegas next year for WrestleMania 41.
I went on before the podcast. So, what Ticketmaster does, they have this thing called dynamic ticket pricing. Basically, the idea is if there's high demand for a certain ticket, you're gonna get charged more. So, when they first put the WrestleMania tickets on sale a couple days ago for nosebleeds, I don't know if this was for 1 day or 2 day, but $1,400. I checked before the podcast, and they did have 2 day combo tickets available in the nosebleed
Oh,
section. And now it's gone down to the bargain basement of $950.
oh.
I'm glad I went last year.
And you paid it.
Like these prices are ridiculous. It spits in the face of what Triple H said at the end of WrestleMania last year when he said that he and Nick Khan look closely at ticket prices and they want to make sure that the people, like everybody, has the opportunity to go see WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
That is not these prices. That is not these prices.
I want to say that I want to give WWE a pass just because this is Ticketmaster, and as somebody who has worked in a ticket reselling company for a short bit of time, I really want to give WWE the benefit of the doubt. But this is just egregious what Ticketmaster is doing. I, it's been a long time since the last time I ordered something off of Ticketmaster because I know I got screwed out of a shit ton of money the last time I
Mm.
ordered off of Ticketmaster that I wouldn't do it. So I can only imagine what these fees look like for the prices for these tickets. And it is just, it's awful because I know for a fact last year you sat in the twos, right? You sat in a little bit like in the middle section, not in like the 100s or the three, you're like right smack dab in the twos.
I forget if I was in. I think I was in the front row of the threes. Like I was like third or fourth row in the threes.
You were in a very good spot in the threes, and honestly, if the link is anything like the Meadowlands, there's really not a bad seat when you're sitting up there.
No,
But
it was completely fine. And it cost me, counting all the fees, a shade over $300 for those tickets. There were tickets that were less expensive that were higher up, but
yeah,
like I was like, yeah, $300. I'm like, this is pretty steep. As much as I would have liked to have been lower or on the field, it's like I had a budget that I was trying to stick within, but man, oh man, $1,400 or 950 right now. Like, and these are like further back than I was. Hey, I know it's the showcase of the Immortals. I know it's 2 days now. Like, so they're making like double the money of what they did, when it used to be one night.
yeah.
And again, I come back to Triple H saying during WrestleMania, Like last year during the press conference at the end, we want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to go to WrestleMania. And that's just not true.
Yep.
You know, I know somebody who is going to WrestleMania this year and already got hotel, already got plane and all that jazz, and was just waiting for tickets to go on sale. And it's like, you know, you think you know how much it's going to be, and then you get the sticker shock of what the ever blazing hell. I've already invested this much. I was planning on going this much deeper into it, and what the holy hell.
For context, when I went to WrestleMania 11 at the beautiful Hartford Civic Center in 1995, my uncle paid $80 per ticket for floor seats. Granted, that was pretty much 30 years ago now, we're talking about. But still, at that time, $80 for tickets on the floor was pretty expensive. I can only imagine, if I'm not mistaken, I think they were like going as high as $16,000 for ringside seats for WrestleMania. $16,000. For that kind of money, if I'm going to WrestleMania, I'm going to need Hulk Hogan versus Stone Cold Steve Austin in a last man standing match. I'm going to need the Young Bucks to make the transition and do a stupid Forbidden Door where they have a 2-on-1 handicap match with Brock Lesnar where it becomes a shoot. I'm also going to need Duke the Dumpster Droese versus Kazarni in the dark match. And most importantly, and I cannot stress this enough, I need a rematch of the TLC match between the Dudley Boys, the Hardy Boys, and Edge and Christian. Considering all 6 of them are technically, physically capable of going in the ring. For that kind of money. For that kind of money. I'm gonna need to sit next to, I would say Taylor Swift, but no, I don't want to sit next to Taylor Swift. I need to sit next to, like, I don't know, Seth Green at least.
You know what? I think you'd have a good time sitting next to Jelly Roll.
Jelly Rose. I think
or
I would
George
have
Kittle.
I would have a lot of time, have a good time hanging out with George Kittle at WrestleMania. That would be cool. But like that's what I'm saying. Like that's what I'm going to need from this experience. It's either that or you're going to have to give me tickets to the next 20 WrestleManias for $16,000 because there's
Right.
no feasible way some human being is going to pay that kind of money, especially in this type of economy.
Right.
It almost has me thinking like, is there somebody in Ticketmaster who may be in like Tony Khan's back pocket? I know this is complete tinfoil hat theory, and I've only made it 8 minutes into the podcast before I said anything disparaging about AEW, so that's a new record. But man, that is just. I saw those prices. I was floored, absolutely floored over the prices, especially for the nosebleeds. 1,600, 1,400, even 950 for nosebleeds for both days is just absolutely egregious. Just absolutely egregious.
I just can't believe it. All right.
It seems like a lot of money just to watch Dwayne come out and do whatever the hell Dwayne's going to do at WrestleMania next year.
Hey. Dwayne was awesome last year.
I'm not taking anything away from Dwayne. As of right now, and we're just a hair over 2 months away from the Marquee Awards, WrestleMania 40 is going to win my premium live event / pay-per-view of the year. It's not even close. That ending to WrestleMania 40 was spectacular. I enjoyed every second of it. The only way it would have been any better for me is if it was Austin instead of The Undertaker. That's it. Everything else they did with that was just absolutely perfect. I loved The Rock being a part of it, Cena being a part of it, the Usos getting involved in it. They told such a great story in the ending of that match. It was just great. And the rest of the card, like honestly, WrestleMania 40 was just awesome. I mean, the tag team title match where both titles were on the line, the ladder match, and you got R-Truth doing the hot tag and everything. That was great. Sami Zayn versus Gunther was another great match. I mean, yes, they're giving out quality matches, and that's the new thing, but it's not worth what people are paying. 16, 14,
Well,
whatever.
according to, if they sell out, it is worth it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Again, though, I come back to the idea of yeah, you can charge that amount and people are going to pay it and they're going to show up.
Yeah.
But like if you say that you want every fan to have an opportunity to go to WrestleMania, that is now patently untrue. Even last year, like the very top seats in the stadium, I mean, it was still somewhere around $200 just to like be in the last row. So I'd say there are a lot of people who cannot afford that.
It's funny because I could probably take that $1,400 and buy season tickets to the Giants. Not that I would actually spend that kind of money to watch the Giants play home games in the Meadowlands for an entire season like that, but still.
I like Danny Dimes, man.
Jesus Christ.
Well, I
Oh,
mean, your team's in better shape than Jeff's.
really?
Yes.
When was the last time?
That
Hold
they
on.
are going to be in the wilderness for the next decade because of the
Because
stupidity of the signing that they made at quarterback, and now he died.
pretty much. But let's not just sit here and discount what Daniel Jones's contract has meant to the Giants, considering the fact that since we signed him over a season ago and he is now in his second season in this contract, since he signed said contract, he has yet to throw a touchdown in the Meadowlands.
And is he 50-50 on how many touchdowns that he's thrown to opponents versus his own teammates?
He has thrown. There was at one point this year he's thrown more touchdowns to the opposing team than his own teammates.
Mm.
Tommy Cutlets has more touchdowns at the Meadowlands recently than Danny Jones. Danny Jones. Yeah,
And
whatever.
they just would not put him in. What was it, last week or the week before?
They hate me. That's what it is. The Giants hate me. The Mara family has hated me for years, and that's all I'm going to say about it. I don't know what I ever did. I don't care how many times I sold my soul for that damn franchise. Numerous times. They just hate me. They just hate me. It's fine.
He hates me.
He hate me. Rod
Yeah,
Smart, baby. But yeah, the freaking ticket prices at WrestleMania are just ridiculous. Just absolutely ridiculous.
yeah,
I can't fathom it. Even just to see The Rock, it's not worth it.
yeah. All right.
All right, we did discuss the announcers controversy, I guess, kind of. So I say we get into that next.
Sure. So it was announced on Monday that Samantha Irvin was no longer going to be the ring announcer for Monday Night Raw, and we have her replacement already in place. The one and the only Lillian Garcia. Thoughts, Brainless One?
Okay, so a lot of people were speculating because it seemed rather quick that she just kind of made a post on either Instagram or Twitter saying that her time in WWE was coming to an end and she was no longer employed there. It had later come out that she had been talking about this for close to a year now, and that she's going to pursue projects outside of not only WWE but the professional wrestling as a whole. And she is super talented. She's got a great voice, especially for ring announcing. She's got an incredible voice for it. She wants to try the singing thing, go for it. I know that she's a lot closer to my age than she is to, you know, being just barely able to drink. So I understand why she wants to get in there before it gets too late for her to pursue her dreams the way
Sure.
she had wanted. However, with Lillian Garcia, of all people, being the one named as the replacement for Samantha Irvin, I'm actually very happy about because I have been a Lillian Garcia fan for a very, very long time. She's the only person as an announcer in WWE, mind you, the only announcer in WWE that I liked more than Lillian Garcia was the GOAT Howard Finkel.
Right.
That's it. I was a huge fan of hers. I enjoyed her work. She had a great voice for it. She could sing. She used to do the national anthem and all that stuff. I think it's great that she's back. It's unfortunate that we lose Samantha Irvin because, like I said, she was very good at what she did. she was the closest thing, like for me, to Lillian Garcia since we lost Lillian Garcia. So she is going to be greatly missed in WWE. Just the way that she would present people when they would make their way to the ring, Cody Rhodes, the way she would introduce Chelsea Green, just all the little nuances she did was just absolute. I loved it. And again, I'm sad to see her go, but for me, this is the closest thing to a wash, other than if they have actually went out and got like Gary Michael Capetta to do Raw announcing for the rest of whatever. Don't care.
Right.
What are your thoughts on it, cousin Jay?
So my initial thing was when they came, some reports out there said like, oh, it took people by surprise and they weren't expecting this and blah 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 and blah 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 and blah blah blah. If they weren't expecting this, how do they have a replacement already there? Think before you tweet. Thank you. No. I love Samantha Irvin. She actually is my favorite ring announcer that probably since the Think. Like love Lillian, like Samantha more, but I'm very happy to see Lillian back. It's good that like, hey, this isn't somebody we have to get used to. She did it for a very long time, did it at a high level for a very long time, and this would just be a question in my mind. She got off the road because of how hectic it was, and I think it was, I think she had a parent who wasn't doing well. So I guess I would say I hope that this isn't like a short-term fix. I hope that she's there for like 5+ years and that, they'll groom the next announcer. But I'm happy to see Lillian back. Again, I like Samantha better, but not by a lot.
Yeah.
Samantha just had that little extra oomph
The little
in what
pizzazz to
she
it.
did. But Lillian's great.
Yeah.
And she's a great choice. Great choice. So I think WWE handled this very well. The only thing that wasn't handled well was like getting it out there. Oh yes, this has been planned for months. It took Samantha Irvin going out on X and saying, yeah, this is something that they've known for months, not this afternoon. Yeah. Thank you. Good day. And, good for her for chasing her dreams. I think she was on X Factor or America's Got Talent at some point and did pretty well with it. And, that's what kind of got her noticed, got her into WWE. And if she wants to chase that dream of being a singer, she go out and do it. She got noticed, got to that platform, and then was on the WWE platform for a couple of years where there are millions and millions tuning in every week, seeing her, and she built up her fan base in that sense. And now she's like, all right, well, let me give this a try now. Good on her. Take a moment. Let's see what you can do, Samantha. We know you got powerful lungs. We know you got a great voice. Let's make some history, Samantha.
Yeah. My biggest thing, and it almost got my brainless this week, but then again, leave it to the internet wrestling community to just prove to me that even if you win you're the early leader in the clubhouse for Brainless on a Monday, that by Friday you almost become forgotten. But the way that some of these WWE fans were reacting when they found out, calling her a traitor, telling her that she's a quitter, I hate you, I hope you don't go, have fun in AEW, you're going to go from, broadcast, announcing in front of millions of people to announcing in front of dozens of people. You'll never see a million views on anything. And I'm like, really? Really? Is this really necessary? Do we really have to
Society
stoop to
has
this
become a
level?
bunch of children.
Yeah.
It's just a bunch of children.
It's incredible. When I'm one of the more mature people in the internet wrestling community, me, I pick fights with people. I am El Hijo de El Diablo Blanco. Every sense of the word. I go after it's fun. And yet I'm one of the more sane ones. I'm one of the most, the mature ones. It's because I don't think it's fun to watch guys who wrestle 9-year-old Chinese girls, fuck dolls, and wrestle with exploding sneakers. That doesn't make me a bad person. It just makes me, not a weird guy from California who, half of a tag team where both members of the tag team think they're Shawn Michaels when neither one of them is, and they're both Marty Jannetty.
Yeah.
But it's just crazy. Because, even Ricochet came out and went to her defense and was like, she's not even coming to AEW.
Yeah.
And I know that was my first thought, and I'm like, nah. I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
And, in 3 months, if she's like, yeah, I'm going to, I'm here on AEW Dynamite, and it's like, great, have fun. Announcing in front of nobody. But, again.
She'll be the hype person for the crowd. Oh, wait, for
12,
herself.
12 people there.
12 people. Well, they do say dozens, so maybe it's, like 20, 24, 25.
There's not even half of that in the on the hard cam side. Oh,
Yeah.
Sheba's trying to get into the Hall of Fame.
I know. We got Petey coming to the room, and sometimes Sheba gets a little too crazy about it. So
I understand.
Yeah.
That's all right. Luda has been, kind of dancing around the door for the last 10 minutes because she's mad she's not in here with me. So I completely understand.
Yeah. All right.
Well, speaking of understanding something, Cousin Jay, can you explain something to me?
Yes.
Can you? I don't know if you can. You're maybe the only person I can think of right now that could actually explain something to me. But yeah, I don't think you can because I don't think even you can understand a booking decision that happened. when a certain somebody went to AEW, they were going with the intentions of pushing younger talent, getting them over. Because once you hit a certain spot in your wrestling career, you need to start doing more to give back to the wrestling industry. Kurt Angle put over an Olive Garden waitress at WrestleMania 30, or Olive Garden waiter, I'm sorry. Woo! Still not getting my brainless this week. Don't care. We've seen, Randy Orton has Randy Orton won a premium live event since he returned? In a one-on-one match? He lost to Gunther twice. He lost to Logan Paul at WrestleMania. Even Randy Orton, he's not even that old, is putting over younger talent. There's all these wrestlers that once they get to a certain point, they're putting over younger talent.
Even Hulk Hogan did. Hulk Hogan
lost to Randy Orton at SummerSlam 2006.
He also lost to Brock Lesnar. He also lost to The Rock.
I'm sorry, he beat Randy Orton at SummerSlam 2006. I apologize.
Even so, there were several times when Hogan came back in 2002 that he was putting people over. Between then to 2006, he put an awful lot of people over, except for at SummerSlam, because I think they were trying to make Hogan's SummerSlam record like the Undertaker undefeated streak. And
yes, we saw how that went in 2005, the year before he wrestled Randy Orton, where Shawn Michaels gave us the single greatest performance in a wrestling match in the history of professional wrestling. One of my personal favorites. I love that match. But my point is there right now in professional wrestling, outside of, say, R-Truth, that a 50-year-old in the wrestling industry should become a world champion of a wrestling promotion, whether it is the team, the organization's top show, or if it's their developmental brand. Should a 50-plus-year-old man who's been wrestling for over 30 years be winning said championships, beating younger talent, and not getting them over?
No.
So, okay. And I just, and again, it has nothing to do with the person themselves because, again, he's still a GOAT to me. He's in my Rushmore. I'm not going to kick him out.
Mm-mm.
And I've even said that his entire run in AEW, I'm going to throw out completely out of the equation when it comes to further GOAT discussions and Rushmore discussions about said individual. But somebody needs to explain to me why the fuck Chris Jericho is Ring of Honor World Champion.
And I don't like arguments that come from a place of like, but so and so did it not that long ago. Bill Goldberg was the Universal Champion.
Don't
Now, in
remind
the
me.
end, he ended up, having matches against people and losing. And I would say, in general, the people who were in the ring with Goldberg, just by being in the ring with Goldberg, were enhanced.
Minus the Fiend.
Like, I feel at this moment, having a feud with Jericho is similar to what happened with most people after they had a feud with Bray Wyatt, back during Bray's original run, where it's like, yeah, you had this feud with this big star, but then like after it, you went to the land of misfit toys and were like never heard of again. I mean, look what happened to Bobby Lashley. So, but like, if part of the thing is to put people over, at least when the Goldberg stuff happened, at some point somebody did get a victory over him, and they moved on. With Jericho here, hey, I'll say this: he's been consistently there on AEW TV, but the amount of people that have sprouted as superstars because they were in the ring with him is like none. So I hope the heck behind the scenes he's coaching some of these other people who have started to sprout, because that would be the only reason Tony Khan I think would feel the need to like go, he's been doing so many good things behind the scenes. I'm going to throw him a bone. I'm going to let him get a ninth world title reign. Another reign as the Ring of Honor champion. I don't think he brings any extra prestige to the belt. Like when they brought Ring of Honor back and they had him win that title, I'm like, oh, they're trying to do what they did when they started out AEW by having, this person that has a lot of love out there win this belt, carry the company on his back, go and lose it during a drunken, coked out rage, get the title back, In gags, that's the thing. We love Jericho. He should not be a champion right now, though. Should not be a champion. I don't even mind if he's upper mid card and facing folks that are about to, go for the championship. Randy Orton can lose from now to eternity and still be upper mid card main event, and people will see that he is worthy of it. Where like the stuff I've seen from Jericho lately, I'm like going, man. And he
Now,
just does not look as good even from when he first got into AEW. He just does not look anywhere near the performer that he was. And he always was a guy that said, when my time's up, I'm going to just kind of silently go off into the sunset and just not even tell anybody. But no, he said he wasn't going to be a hanger-on, and he's hanging on more than the eye ring on the Tiger King.
now, when it comes to like him winning championships, I if he's winning secondary championships and AEW's got like 9,000 minor championships, if he went after like the All Atlantic, All International, you know, TNT, one of those stupid championships, he won it, fine. Don't care. It's a mid card title. Nobody gives a shit. People are already making fun of Ring of Honor because of the fact that it's Ring of Honor and it's not really Ring of Honor. It's just Tony Khan's coked out version of Ring of Honor. So now Chris Jericho is. I mean, you gotta. It's just him winning major titles, even if it is Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor is basically NXT for AEW
Sure.
at this point. Shouldn't be doing it. Just no. And you mentioned Bill Goldberg. When Goldberg beat Kevin Owens, two reasons I actually liked it. One, there was a story being told where it wasn't just Kevin Owens, who's this young up and coming star that WWE had, and he was the Universal Champion. It was him and Jericho because right before this happened, the Festival of Friendship occurred. And it
Yeah.
was Chris Jericho's distraction that cost Kevin Owens the match against Goldberg. So an outcome like that, I have no problem with. On top of the fact that if it is Kevin Owens that's getting fucked over in the end, I have zero issue with it. So Goldberg burying Kevin Owens was actually the most beneficial thing that Kevin Owens did for me since 2000, since 2016, minus all of the cupcake material that I have gotten from him over the last 8 years.
And one other thing, he did get Stone Cold Steve Austin out of retirement for one night.
I still would have liked to have seen Austin shove like a plate of cupcakes in Kevin Owens' face.
I mean, we got what we got, and I think it was pretty awesome considering Austin didn't really prepare a ton for it.
Kevin Owens did everything he could to make that match look like $1,000,000. He got rewarded with winning the tag team titles in the main event of WrestleMania 39 Night 1.
And I hear his bonus was 2 plates of cupcakes. Instead of that normal one, you know.
But Goldberg, when he went into Saudi Arabia and beat The Fiend, there was no worse booking. I know I've sat here and I could say, Triple H over Jericho at WrestleMania 18, Triple H over Booker T at WrestleMania 19. I could talk about him and over Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 29. I could sit there. I could talk Jericho losing to Fandango is a booking decision. No, the worst booking decision in WWE history was Goldberg beating The Fiend for the Universal Championship. Because that absolutely ruined The Fiend. Absolutely ruined it. No reason, no rhyme or reason behind it. It was stupid. Stupid. It's Kofi Kingston botching against Randy Orton in their feud. Stupid, stupid, stupid. I don't get it. I never understood it. And this is from a guy who liked Goldberg because, you know me, I love fucking squash matches. But that was stupid. Stupid, stupid, stupid. How you had a guy who was once inside of a Hell in a Cell match that you dumped like 47 chairs on and had Seth Rollins still try to beat him with a chair and the referee calls for a stoppage. And you have him lose to Goldberg after one finisher.
Gags the Clown in the chat saying KO has a hot wife, but not as hot as Eva Marie. And saying Nia Jax looking slim like a quadruple XL Slim Jim.
What does she look like? Instead of a two-door refrigerator next to each other, it's just a one-door with the freezer on the top and the fridge on the bottom. She's that size of refrigerator, we're saying? Covered in pleather?
Something like that. But in the end with this, like, Jericho needs to be putting over people and elevating people up. I mean, I remember Edge with the Edge heads. You know, he was in his late 30s and started, trying to propel them to greater heights. And the Edge heads ended up, winning the tag team championships. And he utilized himself to bring them to a greater level. So people like Edge have done it right. I mean, Edge infamously and Jericho both yelled at John Cena for what ended up happening at SummerSlam 2010 and wondering why John Cena didn't put over the Nexus. But, yeah, Jericho should not be winning stuff anymore. He should be elevating people. But, anyway.
I'm back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before I got booted, what was the topic again? I apologize.
Well, we were talking about Jericho. We were talking about The Fiend and Goldberg, and how Jericho shouldn't be winning titles anymore.
Yeah,
The Fiend losing to Goldberg the way he did didn't help him in getting buried underneath 5 million chairs, and then the ref stoppage. Anyway. For me, the exclamation point, Jericho should not be winning championships anymore. It is time for him to be a torch passer. Now, if he wants to sit there and do some hijinks where he hands over the Ring of Honor title to somebody, maybe I could jive with that, although I don't
know. So what you're saying is you want Chris Jericho to do with the Ring of Honor title what Andre the Giant and Ted DiBiase did with the WWF Championship in 1987?
1988. But
1988. I'm sorry. Apologize.
Yep. February 5th, 1988. Ted DiBiase actually did wear the title. I think it was February 6th. And it was either in Madison Square Garden or the Boston Garden. And he had a match. Yeah. I would be more okay with that than Chris Jericho continuing as champion. I would consider that a better booking decision because the learning tree of Jericho ain't doing it for me. The learning tree needs to be pruned.
So what you're saying to me is that you don't want to see Chris Jericho hand the Ring of Honor title to either the Bounty Hunter or Big Bill. Is that what I'm to understand?
No, I'm saying I would rather see that than have Jericho continue as the champion. I'd rather see that.
But I'm saying, all right, so maybe what I'm saying is, if you look at his options, does Big Cass or the Bounty Hunter deserve to be the Ring of Honor champion? Can anybody tell me anything that the Bounty Hunter, Brian Keith, has done? Anybody. I'm looking for anybody, anywhere that wants to tell me that the Bounty Hunter, Brian Keith, has done anything worthy enough of winning the Ring of Honor World Championship if it was handed it to him.
I don't even think he's beaten Marco Stunt yet, so clearly that's a hurdle that needs to be hopped over. But, I mean, Tony Khan, book it.
Yes, he's got to have at least one match against Marco Stunt after 3 local competitor matches.
Yes.
Brian Keith, the Bounty Hunter. Or he might not even be the Bounty Hunter anymore. Who the hell knows?
And if one of the local competitors happens to be Kazarni, bonus points. and if another one happens to be the Man Scout, more bonus points.
I mean, they have the Man Scout technically under contract in AEW, so it's very possible. I'm still waiting for my Man Scout versus Danhausen match, but I'm also waiting for a Danhausen match, period, because he hasn't been on TV in over a year.
Sad.
Tony Khan don't know what the hell he's doing. He's too coked up.
Chris Brown saying, Bo Dallas's character as Uncle Howdy, how long before someone in WWE F's that up royally?
Give it time.
One big difference is Triple H. Triple H does things that make a little bit more sense than his predecessor, who we'll talk about a bit because more things have come out.
I'm shocked. This is my shock face, everyone. And since we were just talking about Chris Jericho, I think this is going to be the right time for me to introduce a new segment on the F and Marks podcast today. And we're going to have a little fun with this.
Okay.
Cousin Jay, today we're going to play the game Name That Segment.
Okay.
We're going to name that segment where you're going to get to pick what is the correct answer for this question. And this week, for Name That Second segment, Cousin Jay, AEW Dynamite this week did 637,000 for viewers.
Okay.
And to give you an idea, I don't know what the exact number is for this answer, but to give you an idea, the Big Bang Pillars did an 832 rating. So, Cousin Jay, my question to you is this. Who had the lowest rated segment on AEW Dynamite this week? Was it A, the Young Bucks and Jungle Jerk, B, Tony Khan's $18 bajillion Mercedes, C, the Geritree, D, the Big Bang Theory, or is it E, other?
I've got to go with the $18 billion Mercedes.
Oh, I am sorry, Cousin Jay. Unfortunately, Mercedes Monet, although you weren't very far off wrong because she had the second lowest segment on Dynamite this week, but it was not the Mercedes Monet with the lowest segment. And surprisingly enough, it wasn't the Geritree either. He actually had he had the highest, Chris Jericho had the highest rating that wasn't the Big Bang Theory.
Good for him, I guess. Again, I still don't like the booking decision.
I don't either. But the winning segment for the lowest rating was the main event with barely over 530,000 viewers. It was the Young Bucks and Jungle Jack versus Private Party and Daniel Garcia. In what wrestling promotion, universe, planet are those six human beings in a main event of anything? I don't get it. I just don't get it. How Chris Jericho, who's doing absolute shit right now with this Jericho tree learning crap, whatever the hell he's doing. It's awful. He's not doing anything to help anybody. He's not doing anything to better the product or anything like that. And the fact is that Mark Briscoe, bladed himself twice in front of the camera. I'll let that slide. It's fine. I like Mark Briscoe. But you got your $15 million Mercedes. The $15 million Mercedes who has an ego bigger than her mic skills.
To be fair, her mic skills are about on par with our vice president.
I was about to say, Cousin Jay, the only person in AEW who cuts a worse promo than Mercedes Moné is Marina Shafir. But in our defense, we don't know Marina Shafir. I don't know her. You don't know her. The F and Mark's followers don't know her. Nobody knows Marina Shafir. So I can understand why nobody thinks that she's a good promo.
Right.
Mercedes Moné is a $15 million investment. Like, I have absolute zero issue with Okada doing what Okada's doing in AEW. Because Okada's getting that bag after busting his ass as the face of New Japan Pro Wrestling for a long time. Let him go there and have fun. Let him go there and get paid a shit ton of money to do absolutely nothing. I don't have a problem with what Okada's doing because at any given time he's still Okada. And eventually we're going to get him and Omega and obviously a guy who I'm going to definitely mention at some point later on in the podcast is going to have a very massive orgasm when those two wrestle again, especially if it's in the Tokyo Dome.
Oh, if they do Forbidden Door in the Tokyo Dome at some point, and they're like going, well, I know they're both AEW guys, but we're going to have them main event this thing.
Right. But my whole thing is that we talked about this last week, about how they're doing this thing with the Blackpool Combat Club, where the Blackpool Combat Club is going to be anti-AEW, and eventually this is going to lead to, whatever the hell this is going to lead to. But the Blackpool Combat Club needs to have the faces that are counteracting them. Daniel Garcia is not it. Private Party are not it. And if you don't believe me, it wasn't just the Young Bucks and Jack Off that was causing the numbers to shit itself at the end of the show, although it's very well possible. They could have been in there with any other three people and they would have had a higher number. I can guarantee you that. But nobody cares. Because Tony Khan just doesn't care. Tony Khan just wants to be friends with everybody and just let them do whatever the hell they want. He doesn't want to tell stories. He doesn't want to build this up. How are you going to build this into a story in a wrestling promotion that doesn't know how to tell stories?
I think one of the big things here is, like, they tell stories, but they don't finish them. I mean, think of the Devil storyline. They had all this buildup. Yeah, Adam Cole, in a freak accident, gets messes up his ankle, and he's out forever and a day. But now that he's finally back, they it's as if it never happened. And they're doing a good job, I think, of trying to build up the thing with the Blackpool Combat Club. So, when it has the contract with McMahon at the end of it, but it's not, Voldemort, it's going to be Shane O'Mac. I think it's still going to be a fun thing, but like you said, where do they go from there? Who is the face that is going to take on the plumber union?
The plumbers union. The plumber.
Who are the people? Who are the people?
Who do they build up? Are they okay?
You can't have it against Max.
Max is a heel. You can't have Adam Cole because Adam Cole, baby, can't stay healthy.
Unless you wanted to have Adam Edge be the leader of another group, but Adam Edge, I think, is still not there yet. And
he's almost 50. You got this stable that's trying to be anti-AEW, so you're going to counteract with a stable led by ex-WWE guys? What in
I'm
the
just saying,
McMahon
as far as somebody with star power that you could maybe build around, maybe that's a thing. But are you going to build it off your pillars of salt here? One who gets injured all the time, one who's a heel right now, one who will jump off the. I'm thinking he'll jump off the top of Wembley Stadium onto somebody during the next time they have All In England.
Coffin
and
drop.
Then you got the other one who's a heel that
nobody cares about.
Right. Clearly,
Yeah,
based on the fact that the ratings were not good for when that person was out there.
Now, here's the thing. In a perfect world, the storyline would work if they actually had the right pieces in place to counteract whatever the Blackpool Combat Club is doing. But the problem is that, like you said, with the pillars, two of them are heels. One of them is absolutely better as a heel than he is a face. I mean, let's be serious. The guy's we're talking Edge, Randy Orton, Ric Flair level of so much better as a heel than a face. Miz level.
Yeah.
You got Darby Allin. Yes, you could do it with Darby Allin, but Darby Allin weighs less than I do.
Right.
I mean, Sammy Guevara. Please don't get me started on Sammy Guevara. And Jungle Jack. It's like they picked the wrong people to be the pillars at the time of naming them as the pillars, and they don't know what to do because they backed the wrong pillars. And what are you going to do? You're going to send Orange Cassidy out there. And this is coming from a guy who likes Orange Cassidy. I still like Orange Cassidy. I think he's a tremendous star. I love the character, all that stuff. Again, the final nail in the coffin for me was watching Orange Cassidy drop the stupid belt to fucking Moxley when he dropped the belt to Moxley the first time. And then Moxley got dropped on his head twice, was concussed, and Rey Fenix won the title.
Right.
But they don't have anybody there to counteract this. Are you going to bring in the new people of the Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin thing, and they're going to join forces with Swerve, and that's how they're going to get it? I mean, who else? Like, who is like? I don't even follow this shit, and I can tell you right now that they don't have the right pieces in there to counteract it. Daniel Garcia is not a star. There is nothing you can do to this man to make him a star unless you make him taller, give him steroids, a personality, any other facial mannerism other than the one that he has on his face, and wipe out the entire existence of that stupid Daniel Garcia dancing bullshit that he did. I don't see it. He's a nice counterpiece in your mid card to make people look good because he's good in the ring, but that's it. Daniel
Yeah.
Garcia is not going to be Stone Cold Steve Austin going up against the corporation. It's not happening. They don't have that person. And it's because people can't stay healthy, or Tony just has no idea what he's doing because he's not telling a story. And you got the Blackpool Combat Clubs going up against AEW when their executive vice presidents are heels. Is it going to be Kenny Omega? Is that what this is all about? This is all going to be so that when Kenny Omega returns in the grandest of glorious ways, and they find a way to absolutely destroy all the goodwill that he has earned from me to the point where I don't even hate him anymore. I actually don't even dislike him. I'm just kind of on Kenny Omega. I'm impartial at Kenny Omega. Take that for what it's worth, people.
Mm.
Come a long way from the fact that I used to hate that guy's guts, and now I'm impartial towards Kenny Omega. But are you telling me that Kenny Omega is going to be the conquering hero? Is it going to be Will Ospreay? Will Ospreay's off doing his thing where now Kyle Fletcher's shaving his head in the ring. He's with Don Callis. You guys are they're trying to do this storyline, but they don't have the right pieces in place to make the storyline work, and they're trying to force it with garbage. This would be like if the NWO was invading and they were like, oh, this is what we're going to do. We're going to bring out Alex Wright, the Disco Inferno, and Psychosis as the guys are going to represent WCW in this venture against the NWO.
Right.
I do too. Alex Wright is
Josh Wonderkin.
to me, Alex Wright in this situation is Orange Cassidy. Like he's the only one in this. Like yeah. True story. Every time I dance on the dance floor at a wedding, I do the Alex Wright.
Yeah.
Yeah, should have seen my sister's face when I did it at hers. And that was 14, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
The Das Wunderkind lives forever. But
Yes.
that's my point though, Cousin Jay. They don't have that legitimate face that they could build around. They could probably do it with Mark Briscoe. Mark Briscoe would be a much better choice to do this stuff instead of having him play tiddlywinks with Chris Jericho every week. I mean, Edge? I mean, yes, I love Adam Edge, and I will forever hold a very special place in my heart for Adam Edge, and I'm so glad that he's back from his injury. But no! No! They don't have that. They could have done it with Hobbs. They have all these pieces. You have this whole roster at your exposure, and you're telling me that you can't do better than Daniel Garcia and Private Party. Are you afraid to turn Hangman Page back to a face because he was such a fail as a heel?
It's the butterfly.
If they were going to do this, it would make a lot of sense if they actually had a viable option as a face faction to go up against them. But it's like we said, you can't trust Adam Cole because he can't stay healthy. You can't
I mean they'll have QT Marshall once he finishes his thing with Costco guy.
But yeah, you're gonna do a tag team. Why are you gonna do Private Party? Why isn't it FTR? They're the best tag team on planet Earth. They should be the guys going up against Moxley. Because we all know the Cash Wheeler would just shoot Moxley. Fuck, yeah.
Glock Anderson.
Glock Anderson and his nephew, Glock Wheeler.
Yeah.
I can't fathom what is going on in AEW, and I try. I go in there and I'm like, oh, let me see what's going on. And I looked at the card for AEW Dynamite and I threw up twice and I said I can't watch Dynamite this week. I would much rather. Hey, you know what, people? Jesse Waters can thank me for the high ratings that he got this week because that's what Dave Meltzer said was because Fox News did surprisingly strong ratings this week. Fox News plays the same thing every day, Monday through Friday, at 8 through the same show is on at 8 o'clock and the same show is on at 9 o'clock, and I highly doubt that Sean Hannity brought in more people than normally he does. So I just want you all to know, and I even discussed it with Nicole about the possibility of watching the last 3 minutes of The Big Bang Theory, so we can improve the actual Pillars numbers before we just decide that whatever they're going to start off the show with. And I'm glad they didn't start off the show with what they did, even though it plummeted nearly 200,000 itself. But they just don't have anybody, and this is a problem. How are you going to have this bloated roster? How are you going to freaking hold Ray Phoenix hostage and not even use him for anything because you're being petty and you don't want him to go to WWE? And you're telling me that you're gonna get fucking how am I missing something with Daniel Garcia? Anybody? Any of the followers tuning in right now, can anybody tell me am I missing something with Daniel Garcia and that he's the next coming of Dwayne Johnson? The next Stone Cold. He's the next John Cena. I wish he was the next John Cena because I really don't want to see him. But I need somebody needs to explain to me what does Daniel Garcia bring to the table that okay, I feel really good about Daniel Garcia being the guy who's going to lead this attack against the plumber, Jason Statham's body double, the woman we don't know, and the troll who likes to jump off of items and land on in items that he shouldn't be landing on, like ladders and broken glass and grunts and looks like a troll. And this is how we're going to bring in Shane McMahon.
Is this why they brought or Sting signed a multi-year deal? I know they said it was kind of like a Legends-esque deal, but like, could they bring him in to lead whatever faction? He's the only, he's got the juice, like as far as like going, yeah, Sting side, but like that's a big stretch too. It's like who's he going to have with him? He's going to have Darby Allin,
his son.
Yeah, Sting 2.
Yeah.
I mean, and the thing is when you got something like this, it's going to have to be like people who are established. The reason, like, it's okay if the Blackpool Combat Club runs roughshod for a little while. The NWO did that, and ratings went up. And everybody was interested in what the heck was going on. And if people see Shane McMahon, they'll be interested in what's going on. But when you find out that there's, like, an anticlimactic, like, battle of wills, it's like going, yeah, of course they're going to lose. I mean, they should just bring in Retribution. Retribution versus Blackpool Combat Club.
And technically, they already have one of the members of Retribution there. Mace or Mace or whatever the hell he is. He's there already. I mean, you don't really need Mustafa Ali. You can actually just use Mansoor because it'd be anything better than what he was doing now or before he was in WWE. And Dijak is available, so he Dijak and Slapjack. But if they bring in Shane Thorne, he has to come in as Slapjack or something just incredibly as offensive as Slapjack.
Right.
But I mean, like, what are they doing? This is. I'm trying to think of what the comparison would be in like WWE ways. It would be like, I guess, if like the Bloodline was going up against
Los Lotharios.
Yeah, there you go. Los Lotharios and like Austin Theory. It's just I don't get it. And it's like you're doing this with Moxley? Please.
Chris Brown in the chat saying, "No, Brainless One, you're not missing anything with Daniel Garcia. He thinks
Thank you.
he's hot shit and comes off as Ms. Light. An annoying little shit who, like your in-laws, stays too long after the party's over." Mm. Mm.
Oh, that's spot on. I love that. Thank you, Chris Brown. That was fantastic. And like I said, I've tried. I've tried. I've looked at the cards. I've tried to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, oh, maybe this will be the week that I actually tune into AEW. Even though I do remember the last time I turned it on to AEW, it lasted about 47 seconds, and then I turned it off because my intelligence was questioned, Cousin Jay. Mine. And from right here on the screen here, it says the Brainless One. So when my intelligence gets questioned, there's a problem. It's awful. I can't do. I can't subject myself. And the fact that there's people out there that, I mean, I really shouldn't be surprised because there's all sorts of different types of people out there that are defending stupid shit that I can't explain. I'll never understand that. But the fact that there's people out there that are actually saying, "Oh, this is good wrestling," you don't know what you're talking about. What? No. I've seen some really bad shit over in my life in professional wrestling. I've seen some really bad booking decisions. Don't get me started on WrestleMania 29 again. Please don't get me started on WrestleMania 29. Oh, that is probably the one WrestleMania that triggers me the most, other than the fact that WrestleMania 27 was awful. And it wasn't the Miz's fault.
Right.
Just going to put that out there. But I don't even want to. This would be one of those things where I'm like, yeah, let's just see how it plays. Yeah, I don't even want to see how it plays out. Really don't. Don't care. I just can't. I just no.
Like, my interest is in seeing Shane McMahon appear. All right. It's me, Moxley. Oh, wrong side. Anyway.
I'm the higher power.
But
just, yeah.
We'll see.
No, we won't, because I will not be seeing it. I won't be seeing it, and I'm not going to subject myself to that. I don't need to see the avalanche that is basically the ratings of AEW as they freaking just plummet in there. And by the way, the Fox News, NBA, and whatever, I think it was the Weather Channel, all having like higher ratings than normal.
To be fair, the NBA kickoff was on Wednesday night. To be fair.
I can understand the NBA, fine. Take the NBA. But when you're lumping in like the Weather Channel and Fox News, and they're like, oh yeah, they got higher ratings. Oh really? This is what we're gonna say is that just people were more inclined to watch whatever the hell Fox. I couldn't even tell you what Fox News had on at 8:00. Couldn't tell you. Wasn't anything important. Wasn't anything like it was Donald Trump talking or Kamala talking or anybody important talking.
They weren't announcing election results.
Yeah, they weren't announcing election results. You know, it's just it's like it's now to a point where Dave Meltzer will just come up with any kind of bullshit excuse that he can pull out of his ass to make AEW sound better. What is it going to be next week, Cousin Jay? When they pull like a 621, and then he's like, well, they were going up against the Jazz were playing the Sonics, even though the Sonics aren't even in the NBA anymore. They're the Oklahoma City Thunder. And, there seemed to be a lot of people tuning into MTV to watch some actual music videos. So that was higher ratings for them than usual. And I think that, there was the grass growing channel actually, improved its ratings more so than Dynamite. But those are the only shows that beat Dynamite this week. And him defending Dynamite this week wasn't even the most offensive thing he said. Somebody had posted a thing on Thursday, and I laughed my ass off because I was like, no, this is fake. This is one of those like AI-generated tweets. And it said that this would be Dave Meltzer if he was not in wrestling, and it was a video of the dude at the popcorn place just scooping it up and putting popcorn in it. And he goes, actually, if I wasn't in wrestling, I would be one of the top reporters in the NFL.
Who does he think he is? Chris Mortensen or Sal Palantonio?
I would love nothing more
By
than
the
for
way,
Dave
Rick,
Meltzer.
Chris Mortensen.
Yes, I love Chris Mortensen. Very sad. Um, he wouldn't. I'm sorry. I no no
Let's
no
get
no no
Dave
no.
Meltzer and Vince Russo doing a podcast together to have like two of the most hated, most polarizing figures in all of pro wrestling. I want to see it happen. And honestly, you know what I want to see even more? This is me booking this. It's halfway in. We get a run in from James E. Cornette. And
That would
just eviscerates.
that would be the one situation. I mean, I already know the answer, and I think everybody who's listened to Cornette's podcast at least once in their life knows the answer. That would be the one where they ask Cornette if you were locked in a room with two people and a gun with one bullet, who would you shoot between Dave Meltzer and Vince Russo? Even though we all know there is not a scenario on planet Earth that if you locked him in a room with one other person and himself and a gun with one bullet, that he's not shooting Vince Russo. Maybe Trump, but that's about it. I don't think there's anybody else other than Trump that he would shoot over Vince Russo.
What's his nickname for him? Shit stain?
Shit stain. And don't forget, people, he is part of my top ten list too this week. Don't think I forgot about the fact that shit stain was all over last week's freaking podcast. I had to wipe off the freaking spot on my freaking thing with a piece of toilet paper.
Yeah, Chris
I was like,
Brown. We know Cornette's supporting Kamala. I mean, Cornette is a very liberal man. He's also a very intelligent individual and very entertaining podcaster and knows his stuff. So
I'm unlike certain people out there who are just absolutely canceling everybody because of their whole political beliefs. Like I said about Mick Foley, I don't care who Mick Foley is voting for on November 5th. I really don't. I'm still going to love Mick Foley because Mick Foley is genuinely one of the best human beings on planet Earth. He does so much that the fact that he goes out there and does stuff for the suicide hotline speaks volumes of him. I am never going to say a bad thing about Mick Foley. I don't care what his political beliefs are. James E. Cornette was one of the greatest managers to ever be in professional wrestling. In the Rushmore, in my opinion. Always respected Cornette. One of the best talkers, too, and very much overlooked his ability to be able to talk the way he did. And he was actually a really solid booker, too. He did more for professional wrestling than a lot of people realize. At the end of the day, I'm not going to look at him any differently because he votes a different type of way than I do. And it's just silly. We talked about this last week that like you shouldn't be oh, you're all mad about the Undertaker having Donald Trump on his podcast. I mean that would be no different if like that. Did I say last week I was ready to cancel Dave Bautista after what he did? No, because I just don't care. I hate the fact that politics actually got dragged into professional wrestling. If anything, it bothers me. It really, really does. And it's fine because there's nothing we can do about it now.
I mean, but a WWE Hall of Famer is running for president again.
And it's going to happen at some point too, because I am absolutely 100% convinced that Dwayne's going to be running for president at some point too.
We'll see. He's not a Hall of Famer yet either.
He will be. We've had just remember, we've had a WWE Hall of Famer as president, and we've had a WWE Hall of Famer as governor.
That's right. And also a WWE Hall of Famer as mayor.
Yes, we do have a WWE Hall of Famer as mayor. We also have a former WWE superstar who's a bounty hunter.
Yes. So one name that came up this week that I saw, I'm like going, huh. So it seems basically like JBL is a free agent. But there was video of him like working out, saying that for the first time in years, he's pain free and may be interested in coming back to wrestling. Clearly, cokehead Tony Khan would call him and would bring him in. What do you think about the possibility of JBL returning to wrestling, and if he does, and returns to AEW and not WWE?
He won't do it. I don't care what kind of money Tony Khan's going to offer him. JBL is really close to The Undertaker. And if The Undertaker and Kevin Nash and all those guys are sitting there shitting all over AEW, JBL is not going to be going to AEW. He's already made an appearance in AAA. He's already made an appearance in TNA. So it's not even like he's going to one or the other. He helped out Alberto Del Rio. He helped out Nick Nemeth. So it's not even like he's going out there and just helping like random people. No, he's helping former WWE people. I know he's been doing stuff in other places. I know he beat the shit out of Effie. By the way, Effie was on the Noun show, and I was very disappointed that he lost by 50 points. But we're not going to get into that.
Saying he believes the JBL going to TNA over AEW.
I do too. And I think it'd be good for TNA. They need somebody of that caliber to bring in there, even if he's not wrestling. And he just all he has to do is just go out there and clothesline people.
I mean, I know Flair did a bit of wrestling when he was in TNA, but like, what does everybody remember? They remember the woo-off. And they remember the stuff he did with Jay Lethal, because like it wasn't just the woo-off. I mean, they had the other time when Jay Lethal was impersonating Ric Flair, and then Flair came to the ring with him, and like, you know who you're in the ring with? Right now, you're in the ring with God. And even after Lethal was like, hey, man, I'm just in here having a fun time. And those segments between Flair and Lethal were absolute gold. If they brought in JBL to do stuff like that, I think that'd work.
I do too. And that woo-off, by the way, was one of my 10 favorite segments in wrestling history. And it was probably one of my favorite segments in TNA, period. That was just, it was great. Jay Lethal knocked it out of the park. And I would like to see JBL in TNA Impact. I think he would actually make a impact there. Huh?
I see what you did.
I did it, and I'm sorry. I would do it again though. But I'm curious to see what he's doing going forward, because like I said, he's showing up in GCW, showing up in AAA, he's showing up at all these different wrestling promotions, and he's getting involved in all these matches, and it's like, what the hell is he doing? So whatever it is, and I'm glad
that it doesn't matter. Like I think he's doing what he wants.
And that's fine, and that's great, and good for JBL that he's making an impact, going around doing what he's doing, and he still has a name attached to him. He's come a long way from the days of him being Justin Hawk Bradshaw.
Right. Or when he made a cameo in F and Mark's Hall of Fame, Clash of the Champions 13.
He did make a cameo in Clash of the Champions 13.
That's right.
F and Mark's Hall of Fame.
He was in the vignette with the Motor City Madman, which was very close to when the Big Cat made an appearance. Appearance number 47A.
The Big Cat. How the Big Cat was in a rivalry with Lex Luger and then got involved with something with Psycho Sid instead. The Big Cat. The MVP of Clash 13, by the way. Well, no, I have to say the MVP.
You know what? There were several MVPs of Clash 13.
Paul Heyman. WWE Hall of Famer Paul Heyman is definitely one of them. WWE Hall of Famer Sting and WWE Hall of Famer Jim Ross. There's a reason why the three of them are all in the Hall of Fame, and it's just that single show alone. Because nobody, and I mean nobody, could have done a better job at selling that bullshit magic show in the middle of a wrestling show better than the three of them. And especially Paul Heyman screaming at the top of his lungs. I still chuckle when I hear him. When every time he turns the guy into the tiger and he freaks out. That's still one of my favorite. I don't care. Paul Heyman is a goat. But yes, JBL did make an appearance in Clash 13. I have not forgotten that. It's kind of funny.
Chris Brown saying, if JBL were to make a WWE appearance, who would you want to have an interaction with in the ring?
Gunther. I would say Braun Breaker, but I really want to see Braun Breaker become a Paul Heyman guy. In the worst possible way. And they teased, and that Intercontinental title match they had on Monday on Raw, where they teased that stare down between him and Jacob Fatu.
I was like, the Brainless One would like to inject that into his veins. Adrenaline in my soul.
Jacob Fatu and Braun Breaker do it all to make me get on my feet. The Brainless One's here, about to roll. Oh my God, here's Gunther now. Oh man, please. There's so much in WWE I can't wait to see. Oh my God, Jay, they could have just injected that into my veins. It was delicious. It was like seeing Sheamus and Gunther have that face-to-face stare down right before their battle at Clash at the Castle. I'm excited. I'm excited for what they're doing in WWE. It's not very often I've said this on the podcast. Hell, it was that desolate land of nothingness for about 4 or 5 years, the WWE landscape, the first few years of this podcast.
Hey, pal.
It wasn't until Triple H took over. And I'm not going to say that there's anything wrong with the product of WWE. It produced countless material for you and I each and every week on this podcast. It's because of WWE that we now have a Good, Bad, and Brainless.
Right.
It's crazy. But now they have all this stuff. I want to see Braun Breaker. Who doesn't want to see Braun Breaker and Jacob Fatu? Who doesn't want to see Gunther and Braun Breaker? Gunther and Jacob Fatu. There's so many things that they could do now in WWE. And now we got the Motor City Machine Guns. And they're fighting. And I know that how silly this is that the Motor City Machine Guns are going to have their second match in WWE tonight. They're fighting DIY. I can only imagine what El Jefe is going to do when that match actually hits. I know I'm going to be excited because that's going to be 4 guys that are just going to wrestle the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
But they're fighting for a number 1 contenders match for the tag team titles tonight. In their second match. And I'm okay with it.
And as much as like the crowd didn't react to them heavily last week, like the wrestling community knows who the heck they are. They just have not been on the big stage. WWE fans are going to find out real quick. The Motor City Machine Guns are awesome, and they better get on board the train there, because there are going to be so many great match possibilities with them and with the teams that are already in the division that have been established, that have done stuff. So,
with a tear in my eye, last week on SmackDown, Cousin Jay, I saw Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley wrestling in a WWE ring in the main roster. With a tear in my eye. It is the happiest day of my life. I was so happy. There's not, honest to goodness, there's really, other than maybe AJ Styles in 2016, there is not 2 human beings on planet Earth that I was more happy to see make it to WWE in the big times than Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin. Absolutely. 2 guys who have busted their asses for a very long time, establishing themselves in the wrestling world. They deserve to be there, and I'm glad. I don't even care. If they can win them, I'm on to win the tag team titles. I'm not going to cry if they, I might cry, but tears of joy if they win the tag team titles against the Gorillas of Destiny. But the fact is that we're very much possible of getting the Gorillas of Destiny versus the Motor City Machine Guns for the WWE Tag Team Championships.
yeah.
Let that sink in, people. So happy. And that whole thing with Nick Aldis last week was just absolutely perfect. I know I sit here and I've been talking up Adam Pearce as the the authority figure on Monday Night Raw and how great of a job that Adam Pierce has done in that role. But Nick Aldis has been killing it too. I don't
Yeah.
remember the last time they've had two formidable people running both shows at the same time. Not even when Shane and Stephanie were running it with Mick Foley and Bryan Danielson, respectfully. This is the first time. Like, I like both of them. I
Yeah.
always liked Teddy Long when he ran the shows and when they did all that stuff. But yeah, I love Teddy Long. I just
Playa.
all right, player. I got some news for you. You're going 1-on-1 with the Undertaker, player. And
Holla back at me.
and not only just the fact that he was a great authority figure, he also was the manager of one of the most underrated tag teams in the history of professional wrestling, and that is Doom. But honestly, like Nick Aldis and Adam Pierce have both been absolutely killing it, and you couldn't have gotten more polar opposite human beings to run the freaking wrestling promotion. I look at it as like Nick Aldis is like you, where you're cool, calm, and collective, and you're just like, all right, you want to do it that way? Nah, that's not how it works. We're going to do it my way. And then I'm like Adam Pierce, where my brain is just flying like a freaking squirrel on freaking acid, trying to get a freaking nut. Oh, I can't believe this is happening. This is going on. I can't believe it. Like me freaking. That's how I look at it. Adam Pierce is just a freaking an absolute meltdown away from shitting himself, and Nick Aldis is cooler than Billy D. Williams, who is cooler than the other side of the pillow.
Hey, Peter.
Welcome to the other side of the pillow.
Chris Brown saying, go to X after the show and watch Alex Shelley's video that he posted this afternoon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's talked about how they made it to this point or something. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be good. I follow both, so I'm surprised I missed it. Although I really wasn't on Twitter that much today.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So another thing I saw in the news, I mean, it's been hinted at for a while, and I want to get your thoughts on it, of the possibility that we get Dirty Dom versus Rhea Ripley in a one-on-one match.
Here, I'll do it again because just like with Jacob Fatu and Braun Breaker, just stick it in my veins, please. I
I
know
can tell
that.
you it's not going to happen in Saudi Arabia, but
Well, I know it's not going to happen in Saudi Arabia. I need it to happen, and I need Rhea Ripley to just rip him to frickin' shreds. That's all I need to see. I need her to beat the shit out of Dom Mysterio.
do you want it to be a squash match, or do you want her to just thoroughly beat him down for like 20 minutes?
Yes, I want both. I either want a squash match where she just absolutely eviscerates him and then hits him with the Riptide, or she just manhandles him for 20 minutes, just pummeling the shit out of him. I just need that. And it's not even like I want to see Dom Mysterio get his ass kicked, because, again, I've enjoyed Dominic Mysterio. There is not a wrestler, and this is including Kenny Omega, that I've done a bigger 180 on faster than Dom Mysterio. I just want to see it just because it would be thoroughly entertaining. And as a fan of professional wrestling, nobody has it coming to them more than Dom from Rhea.
Very, very true. And honestly, I think a match like that should be on the grandest show of them all. Can they hold off 6 months on doing that story, or do you think it would be Royal Rumble?
I don't think. If she does fight Dom Mysterio at the Royal Rumble, she's gonna have to win in the squash and then go on and win the Royal Rumble, because she needs to be one of the women in the Royal Rumble if she's not already champion by then.
I think it needs to happen at WrestleMania, but I don't know how they bridge the next 6 months.
They're gonna have to come up with like something like they did with Bad Blood, where it's like some kind of weird name pay-per-view that kind of fits the like they had bad blood for Drew McIntyre and CM Punk, and then they bled like, stuffed pigs.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to have like vendetta or vengeance or something to that extent for them to do like a Dominic Mysterio or against Rhea Ripley. But I agree. I think it should happen at WrestleMania, but I don't know how you're going to be able to drag this on for another 6 months.
Or they do have an event coming up in December that does need to have a main event level match that would get attention. And it's called Saturday Night's Main Event. We're already hearing some rumblings out there that we may get the Cupcake Eater of Worlds against Cody Rhodes there, and possibly getting Damian Priest against Gunther in a rematch for the World Heavyweight Championship. I think adding Rhea and Dom would be intriguing for that.
The only issue I see with that is because they're doing everything and they've made a big to-do about them reintroducing Saturday Night's Main Event. They're going to have Jesse Ventura be a part of this in some way, shape, or form. It hasn't been, confirmed what his role in the Saturday Night Main Event is going to be, but they're going to, obviously they got something for Jesse Ventura. They're going to be hard-pressed to do a title change. I could see them doing something like this, because I don't remember the last time. When was the last time they had a Saturday Night's Main Event? It's been a long time, hasn't it?
I know that they tried to revive it, and I want to say it was like 2008 or 2009, and it didn't do much. So they just scrapped it again.
Well, I guess my big thing is if you're going to do it, they're going to, I feel like they're going to do a title change. And unless you do something like the Intercontinental title, which we just saw on Monday, we have a new Intercontinental champion again. And I don't see them taking the title off of Braun Breaker again, after they just took it off of him recently. And I don't know what they're going to do with the LA Knight U.S. Championship. Is he going to end up fighting Andrade? Is he going to end up fighting Carmelo Hayes? Is that what they're doing? They're building up those guys, and like, are you going to take the title off of LA Knight after he just won the title?
No.
Eventually, it's and at the end of the day, it looks like Kevin Owens has the most likeliest to win the title because they got Gunther set up for shit. Like, he's going to be fighting CM Punk, and then he's going to be fighting Damian Priest in a rematch.
That is one thing that's been floated about.
No, and I have no problem because they kind of planted that seed with Damian Priest and Gunther this Monday, where Priest was like, yeah, you concentrate on Cody, but just realize I'm coming back for my title. And again, I'm on board with main event caliber Damian Priest. I enjoyed his run as world champion, although CM Punk should get a hockey assist for that entire reign because it wasn't just him helping him win; it was all the other wins that he helped them with. I'm okay with those being matches, but I just see that if they're going to be doing the Saturday Night Main Event, you're going to have to do something special. And as much as Jesse Ventura is a huge name in the wrestling lores, he's not enough for the fans of wrestling now to be like, oh my God, it's Jesse Ventura. Like you and me and Chris Brown and Gags the Clown and all of us, we're like, oh yeah, it's Jesse Ventura because we all grew up with Jesse Ventura. The younger generation are going to be like, oh, who's Jesse Ventura? Oh, that's the guy from Predator. That's the guy who ran for governor of Minnesota. He's the crazy conspiracy theorist that, on the internet who has podcasts and stuff. They're going to have to do something crazy. And the easy solution to that is to do a title change. A women's title match isn't really going to just set the needle unless you have like Tiffy cash in on Nia Jax, and then the whole place will go absolutely batshit crazy, because I know I would. It'd be my mark-out moment of the year, and I'm holding out that as my possibility of unseating
they're in
Bucky
Minnesota,
Beaver.
I mean, who's to say that, after Mark's Hall of Famer Curtis Axel doesn't show up?
My male wrestler of the year.
Brock Lesnar returns.
Oh, please.
It's in Minnesota.
Please. It's in Minnesota, eh?
Yeah. Yeah?
That's the only scenario where I don't want to see Brock Lesnar be the one of the two options is the fact that you gave me Curtis Axel. Only because of the fact that I have not definitively named my Marquee Award winner for Wrestler of the Year. And if Curtis Axel comes out in at Saturday night's main event, it's his. It's his to win. He could lose the match. I don't care. Curtis Axel wrestling in
He would
2024.
surpass R-Truth. Anyway, you have 2 months to think about that.
I've had 10 months to think about it already. I've been thinking about it since before there was a single match in 2024.
Yeah.
I said, who's going to be my Wrestler of the Year? Well, let me eliminate the usual suspects. It won't be anybody associated with the Elite. It won't be Chris Jericho. And it won't be
Nia
Los
Jax.
Lothario. No. Please. Nia Jax. Ugh. Tiffy has a chance to be the Women's Wrestler of the Year and unseat Chelsea Green. Because right now, Chelsea Green's the clubhouse leader for 2 years in a row of being the female wrestler of the year for the Brainless One. Let's be serious for 2 seconds. I've enjoyed her work. She's gotten better. She's Triple H's best re-sign. I don't care what anybody says. You can argue with me all you want. Chelsea Green was the best re-sign that Triple H did. Sorry, I'm not sorry.
Speaking of re-signings, Triple H has done. F and Marks Hall of Famer Tim sent me a picture, and I was like, that would be very interesting. Braun Strowman, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed, and they call themselves Brawny. I would love to see that. That would be like an unstoppable force of flesh eaters.
Basically, who are the last 3 people you want to see walk into a Waffle House at 2 in the morning, Alex?
I would love to see that. The likelihood I'd put it like 0%, but
They'd have to close the Waffle House.
they would.
I
Like when Homer Simpson went to hell on the Treehouse of Horrors episode,
Yeah.
and they ran out of donuts. More. In the ironic punishment hall.
Oh, the Treehouse of Horrors was so fun.
Yeah.
Oh man, and I know what Braun Strowman eats at frickin' Waffle House, so I know that if him and Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker just walking in there, just add Otis Dosevich.
Yeah.
That's what I would pay. I would be more inclined to pay the $50 to watch Braun Strowman and Otis Dosevich go to a Waffle House and just clean house for an hour than to pay for any AEW pay-per-view. I would pay $50 to watch Strowman and Dosevich at a Waffle House for an hour. I would definitely pay $50 to watch Cassius Ohno at an all-you-can-eat buffet because I know it would last longer than any AEW pay-per-view would. And we would definitely see him getting thrown out of there because it would turn into an all-you-can-eat buffet and then eventually it would become a hostage negotiation because they'd be trying to throw him out after 7 hours straight. But the sign said all-you-can-eat. Oh no! And I need him to do the flip, where he does the flip, and for a flip that no 300+ pound man should ever be doing, because God only knows why his wrists haven't evaporated every time he does it. It's still one of the most impressive things I've ever seen in wrestling.
Yeah.
That and John Cena lifting up deadlifting the Big Show and Edge at WrestleMania will forever be that. Cesaro deadlifting the Big Show at WrestleMania 30, eliminating him from the Andre Battle Royal, and the fact that Chris Jericho somehow, some way lost to somebody named fucking Fandango at WrestleMania. Never understood. I will never fathom that. The dancing douchebag. In a stable, we should just put him with the Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Should not have beaten Chris Jericho. Da, da, da. Da-da-da.
We wouldn't have gotten one of Nicole's favorite segments, the Fashion Files, without it. So, but we did talk about Bronson Reed, and we are going to get Seth Franklin Rollins
Burning it down.
burning it down against Bronson Reed in Saudi Arabia next week. So we now have what, 3 matches confirmed? So
Not for nothing. That's 2 fantastic matches they're going to have in that Sand Saudi show. That I'm only going to watch one of those matches, and that's because I'm too intrigued to not want to watch Cody Rhodes versus Gunther. But other than that, I'm fuck the rest of the pay-per-view. Why am I going to watch fucking? Are they going to even have enough pleather to cover her completely for the Saudi show? That's what I need to know. Are they just going to wrap her in a tarp?
maybe.
Has there ever been a champion versus championship match that was less desirable to watch by wrestling fans than Nia Jax versus Liv Morgan, and it's nothing to do with Liv Morgan? If they had done Rhea Ripley versus Nia Jax in Saudi Arabia, that would actually be more of a better match to watch. I don't need to see Liv Morgan, who's about the size of one of Nia Jax's thighs, wrestle Nia Jax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we did talk about Seth Franklin Rollins. His wife is going to be making a big appearance on November 17th, and it's going to be at a thing called Vulture Fest. She will be discussing her book, her career, and she teased maybe the future. You know, definitely made a big deal out of it. Do you see anything coming out of the man? Do you think she will announce a return to wrestling, or is she just getting people hyped up?
She's getting people hyped up because she's trying to sell a book. I think she's going to show up at WrestleMania. I think she's going to be one of those people that surprises the return at WrestleMania or the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania. I think she's going to be out. I think she's enjoying being a mother, writing books, and spending time with Seth Franklin Rollins. Well, he was out, but now he's back, and he'll be out again, and he'll be back again, and all that stuff. I don't. I think that this is just her hyping up to get people to buy her book. So.
Yeah, anytime somebody says maybe the future, it's like, oh, no, you're teasing me. Literally, that's what I do for a living. It's like, if you're going to talk about the future, you're definitive, and I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do in the future.
Yeah.
She's going to give a nothing answer about what am I doing next. I'm going to go to my hotel room and I'm going to go to sleep.
I'm going to go to my hotel room.
That's what she'll probably say. She'll say something like that.
I'm going to go home to my daughter. There you go, Becky. That's great. They just want to hear you say you're not going to AEW, Becky. That's all people give a shit about.
Right.
Just so that people like AEW Gold, AIR Gold, and WWE Real One, and Dane Braminger can all just shoot themselves in the faces when Becky Lynch does not go to AEW, which is what the whole internet wrestling community wants anyway. Them and JD from New York.
Right. All right. So we made it this far into the show. There have been resurfaced old allegations against one Voldemort McMahon. These are not new, but statute of limitations have changed in the state of Maryland. And because of Janelle Grant coming forward and taking on the dastardly Voldemort. 5 John Does from
Parts unknown.
back in I want to say it's the 80s or it might have been 90s, who were ring boys, who were allegedly assaulted in many ways, shape, and forms. Sounds like they were just kind of passed between people. A lot of nasty things done to them. And at the time, Pat Patterson, Terry Garvin, and Mel Phillips were all fired from what was then WWF. Pat Patterson clearly came back and ended up, working in WWF, then WWE until 2020. The other two, on the other hand, never did come back. And this lawsuit specifically is talking about Mel Phillips and saying Mel Phillips was kind of the person that was doing these alleged things, abusing these ring boys. And where the dastardly Voldemort comes into this, the accusers are saying the WWE executives knew. They saw the things that had gone on, and there are certain facts that, they can put out there and say they knew this, they knew this, and they knew this, and they ignored it and they let it go. So after this lawsuit came out, Dastardly Voldemort's attorney more or less said, yeah, these were false claims that were brought back several years ago. They were proven false. There are no new facts here. This is salacious stuff from Sam Muchnick from many years ago. These are false. And the accuser's attorney said, no, there are several facts in here that were not part of what happened before, and we are coming after you and coming to get you.
Terrible.
So the fact that these now men don't want to be named, clearly they see what the McMahon machine does to people who come out and are named. They smear the heck out of them and they try to find any piece of dirt they can on them. So hopefully they'll be able to at least keep their names out of the lights, at least for a little bit.
Yeah.
But if this stuff really did happen, I mean, and people within the company knew, specifically executives in the company knew, even more evidence against all the stuff that was going on and just how wretched.
Yeah.
How can you even how can you turn a blind eye to that? If it happened, how can you turn a blind eye to that?
The same reason he can turn a blind eye to the fact that Jimmy Superfly Snuka killed his girlfriend in a hotel room. The fact that Hulk Hogan and all of his wrestlers were doing cocaine and steroids. It just goes with the wrestlers think that they were bigger than what they really were. They thought they were untouchable and they were able to do stuff like this. And it's just a shame. I don't know if you've seen the Vince documentaries or anything yet.
Not yet.
I've still at the 3 episodes that I'm at, and I'm probably gonna rewatch them again anyway. It's fine because it was good shit. But just hearing some of the stuff that they said about Pat Patterson, Tony Atlas coming out there. Oh yeah, Pat Patterson, you should just come in there and grab my dick. And I'm like, oh, that's great. That's exactly what I wanted to hear in this documentary and everything. But like, it seems like there was a lot of shit that was going on that Vince McMahon thought he could get away with because he was Vince McMahon. Because he thought he was bigger than he actually. I am now convinced that he thought he was bigger than God. I don't know why. And you're gonna find out a lot about this documentary, and you're gonna find out a lot about Vince McMahon. And honest to goodness, the first 3 episodes I thoroughly enjoyed. I just love that shit. It was nice to have that nostalgia, going back and seeing all the stuff, and it's always great because Hulk Hogan's good for at least 27 lives in a 6-episode docuseries. But like, I'm really not surprised because this is the shit that they were doing. They turned a blind eye to all this stuff. It's amazing how Superfly Jimmy Snuka could murder his girlfriend, but Dr. David Schultz couldn't slap the shit out of John Stossel and get away with it. He got fired immediately right after. Like, I just don't get it. Like, obviously we know that Mel Phillips deserved to get fired. But why is it that Pat Patterson got to keep his job? Because he never got fired. He just kind of disappeared.
Pat Patterson got fired, but like came back. And
apparently he was technically fired, but he never left, they said. He just kind of hid somewhere backstage after that whole situation fell apart. And that was the big problem, was that Mel Phillips and Garvey both got fired for this, and but Patterson never left. He just kind of stuck around, and then he stuck around till 2020 before he died. Like, what kind of incriminating evidence did Pat Patterson have on Vince McMahon? That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
The fact that he got jammed down everybody's throat in the late 90s. The fact that we were subjected to him and Gerald Briscoe in an evening gown match. Vince McMahon did a lot of shit over the years that he really thought that he could get away with, and now it's coming to bite him in the ass in 2024. He should have known that the writing was on the wall for all the stupid shit that he did when they finally nailed Superfly Snuka for killing his girlfriend. We're seeing it now with the Menendez brothers, that they're talking about letting them out of prison after they killed their parents 30 some odd years ago. They shouldn't. I'm sorry. But that's for a debate for another day and another podcast. It's just that we're seeing it now, that in 2024, all the shit that people were getting away with, literally getting away with murder up to some people, is coming back to bite people in the ass now.
Yeah.
And this lawsuit, and again, Janelle Grant, she might actually get the Humanitarian of the Year award again, because she kind of gets it. She got it last year for, getting the nasty, dirty, devious Voldemort booted from WWE. But Bucky Beaver hasn't been in WWE since the beginning of this year, and she's the main reason behind that.
So Jessica is saying the way she sees it, the lawyers and judge will deal with it, but Vince probably put his co-workers in fear.
Probably.
Donnie Brown Snow saying the McMahon documentary was very eye-opening. Just finished it. Tony Atlas was the most honest. And
How dare you say that?
What?
How dare you say that Tony Atlas was the most honest when Hulk Hogan was part of that entire 6-episode series? I am finding that very hard to believe that Hulk Hogan wasn't the most truthful, honest person in the entire docuseries.
Right. Chris Brown is convinced Patterson witnessed some of the stuff Vince did and got bought off for it. And that's why he was protected.
I wouldn't be surprised if Vince McMahon had Pat Patterson play with his balls. Wouldn't surprise me in the least bit.
His grapefruits.
Yes. His genetic jackhammer. Oh man, I'm so ruined.
Yeah, I mean, I really hope this isn't true, but I don't understand why these men, after all these years, would come out now. They're not trying to get famous. They're hiding their names.
They want justice. That's it. At the end of the day, they just want justice, and that's what everybody wants in this day and age. They want justice.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. So,
I have one last item on my list of notes, and apparently there was a lot of backlash over a comment Carlito made on Monday Night Raw this week. Carlito, who was trying to set up Dominic Mysterio for a match with Gunther, went into Adam Pearce's office to set up the match. As he was going in there, Adam Pearce was talking to the Kabuki Warriors, Io Sky, and Kairi Sane. As the two women were leaving the office, Carlito was like, damn, I guess it means I have to learn Chinese. And people got offended by what he said. I, for one, because I grew up with the likes of George Carlin, Rodney Dangerfield, I grew up with Married with Children, with the things that Al Bundy used to say on a day-to-day basis. I'm not offended by stuff like that. I got a chuckle out of it. I'm sure a lot of people got a chuckle out of it. But apparently people were upset about the comment that Carlito said about them making the Chinese language comment towards Japanese women. Cousin Jay, what was your thought on the whole Carlito thing with the Kabuki Warriors?
I am completely in line with you, and what I would say is part of this is showing that his character's an idiot. And in the chat, Chris Brown saying Kyrie and Io are completely okay with it. Allegedly, there's some heat on him for making the comment because it was unscripted. Again, like Carlito, character-wise, is like, I'm a doofus because I don't know the difference between Chinese and Japanese and don't realize that my coworkers are Japanese and not Chinese.
Mm-hmm.
When did people lose they have pulled out everybody's humor part of their brain and they've interjected, let me be offended by this.
I'm convinced the people who are upset about what Carlito said are the same people that we now have the Washington Commanders and the Cleveland Guardians instead of the Washington Redskins or Cleveland Indians anymore. Because it wasn't the Native Americans complaining about the Indians and the Redskins.
Right.
It was.
Yeah. I think many of these things like go too far. There's a thing called humor. Like, deal with it. Chris Brown saying in the chat that WWE was more had an issue that he did not get like the okay from somebody above before saying that. I understand, at least for the moment, TKO is still a publicly traded company, and you don't want to sit there and have people getting angry with you, causing an uproar, and all that sort of stuff. All that being said, I have not heard like too many peaks outside of like the first couple of days after Monday Night Raw. I think that will blow over quickly, but the fact that it's even a thing to me is just. You ever want to wonder why so many people today have mental health issues? It's because they don't know what the hell they can say or not say without getting in trouble. Like, understand sometimes people are saying stuff and it's just being silly.
Yes, I agree. I look at it like this.
You want to be loved and have fun.
Right. I look at it like this. If R-Truth could say it and get away with it, anybody can say it and get away with it. Because that is something that, I honest to goodness, that's exactly what I thought. I was like, okay, Carlito's trying to be like R-Truth where he's funny. I didn't take that as an offensive thing. Because I could see R-Truth saying something like that and it'd be hilarious and people would be all over it. And it's unfortunate.
I'm going to be a good R-Truth.
I mean, honestly, anything R-Truth says is just gold, and I just love that man. He's an absolute treasure.
Yeah.
But I think it's stupid because they're making a mountain out of a molehill, and they really don't need to.
Chris Brown saying there might be talk of him being removed from the Spooky Pals.
Oh, there was talks of that. Like they were going to let him have his own singles run and kick him out of the Spooky Pals because he doesn't really fit in.
Now,
I mean, that's really just the land of misfit toys as it is anyway. Especially because they have a Funko Pop.
Yeah.
FP McDonough, baby, one half of the tag team champions.
I am the tag team champion.
And it's funny too because I saw the thing where they were like, look at all the Funko Pops for the Judgment Day, and they showed all the different Funko Pops of the Judgment Day, and there was a picture of JD McDonough, and he quote tweeted it, and he goes, "Okay, this is going a little too far," but he laughed about it. I was like, okay, at least Funko Head is actually thinking it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
God only knows that Kevin Owens would not have taken it that way.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the cupcake eater of worlds, that fat fuck.
Yeah. Anyway. Now, Brainless One, do you have a top 10 list or anything like that this week?
I do actually have a top 10 list, and
All
I
right,
want you
is
to
it
know
what
how
we discussed last week, or is it something different?
it's last week when we discussed. Let me just check my notes here. Was it going to be the top 10 reasons Russo is not in the Hall of Fame, or will never be in the Hall of Fame?
Yes.
You bet your sweet bottom as it is. And it was not, and I'll tell you right now, it wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be because I ended up doing a lot of research on this
All
top
right.
10 list. Because I needed to make sure that all the stuff that was god awful that Vince Russo did was all the stuff. Because I heard, now mind you, I couldn't confirm it because I went on numerous websites. And I cannot confirm whether or not the finger poke of doom reeked of Vince Russo because my top 10 list would be completely different if it was. So, with that being excluded, and the fact that he says the word bro more than any other human being in the history of mankind being excluded, I give you this week the top 10 reasons why Shitstain is not, will ever be in the WWE Hall of Fame.
All right.
Number 10, the constant fucked finishes. There was more double disqualifications, double countouts. The car crash mentality for professional wrestling in the 90s is the reason why Bucky Beaver is no longer a part of WWE in 2024 because it was old and stupid, and everything that Vince Russo did with that in that period of time with the stupid finishes. Yeah, that enough would keep him out
Yeah.
of the WWE Hall of Fame. Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 9, during the dying days of WCW, Vince Russo was pushing for them to pay for singing lessons. For one wrestler in WCW, it wasn't Alex Wright, it wasn't Norman Smiley, and it wasn't Scott Norton. Cousin Jay, would you like to take a guess at which wrestler it was that they were trying to get lessons? He was trying to get singing lessons for in the dying days of WCW before he was let go.
Well, you said let go, so I was going to say Jeff Jarrett, but.
I was talking before Russo got let go because I'm pretty sure he was
Oh.
fired before WCW shit their pants.
I'll go with Jeff Jarrett.
Tank Abbott. Big money singing lessons for Tank Abbott.
Mm. Mm.
Number 8, and this one kind of hurt,
Brilliant.
and I'm really sad that this is actually number 8. But number 8, as much as I thought it was him who was the one behind the idea of what happened that fateful night on May 19th of 1999, it was not. Although Vince Russo gets partial blame because the reincarnation of the Blue Blazer was Vince Russo's idea. So yes, as much as Vince McMahon should have been put away for murdering one of his wrestlers, Vince Russo is an accomplice. Sorry. Number 7, the Terry Runnels miscarriage story.
Mm.
I don't even want to get into that because that's just something you just don't put in a story for wrestling or anything like that. But I digress.
It wasn't like Snitsky.
Yeah, and apparently he did it again with Stacy Keibler in WCW, where she faked a pregnancy, and then they were like, "Oh, there was no like finality to the storyline," so they just kind of let it go. So yeah, the Terry Runnels miscarriage story is number 7. Number 6, calling TNA TNA. Yeah, we get it, Vince Russo. You had the mentality of a 7-year-old child. Tits and ass. Tits and ass. We get it. Number
Bro.
five, number 5, Judy Bagwell on a forklift.
No, okay. Judy Bagwell is only number 5. All right.
Yes, surprisingly. Number 4, the whole brawl for all.
All right.
The whole brawl for all was there so that he can get JBL to get knocked the fuck out in some point during the thing. And in actuality, what ended up happening was he absolutely destroyed Bart Gunn's career. And he also destroyed Dr. Death Steve Williams' career before he could even get off the ground in the brawl for all. And yes, that's 4. So there's the fact that there's 3 things in wrestling that Vince Russo has done that it's actually worse is just incredible. Number 3, and I'll bet you're going to be surprised at what number 3 is. You might be floored. Number 3, shockingly, he booked David Arquette as WCW World Champion.
I am surprised that is as low as it is.
Oh, there's 2 more offensive things that he's done in his career than why he's not in the WWE Hall of Fame. And the number 1 thing is the main reason why he will never, ever be in the F and Marks Hall of Fame. Ever. Not again, ever. Number 2, and I didn't even know this happened, and I'm kind of glad that I missed it. Number 2, he booked himself as WCW World Heavyweight Champion.
Well, I think it was during that time when he was wearing the Giants gear.
If that is 2 through 10, Cousin Jay, what is the single most important reason why Vince Russo is not in the WWE Hall of Fame?
I'm blanking. I'm just going to go that he's Vince Russo.
Because he showed up to a WCW show wearing a Giants uniform and embarrassed not only the wrestling promotion, the wrestling business, but that franchise for decades is the number 1 reason why Vince Russo is not in the WWE Hall of Fame. I will never, ever get the sight of Shitstain wearing a Giants helmet and jersey out of my mind if I could. If there was one thing that I can absolutely erase from my memory. Not any traumatic memories of, people passing or any of the horrible, disgusting things I've ever seen in my entire life. No. I would love to permanently erase from my brain seeing Vince Russo wearing a Giants jersey and helmet. Yeah, the neuralizer. You did not see Vince Russo in a Giants jersey. Oh, man, there's Vince Russo in the Giants jersey? But yeah, that is my top 10 for this week.
All right. Pretty good.
I think maybe next week I'll do the top 10 people that I would say are a better lock for the WWE Hall of Fame than Vince Russo, but I didn't want to overdo it with Russo because if I have to throw up before the podcast again next week, I'm not going to be happy.
All right.
That's all the notes I have for this week, Cousin Jay. Do you have anything else?
No, that's it for me.
So I guess that means it's time for our good,
our bad,
and our brainless.
Yeah.
Well, Cousin Jay, what do you got for your good this week?
I have to go with Samantha Irvin. And it's not because I'm happy that she's going from WWE. I'm happy that she is choosing the path she wants. She's choosing to chase her dream and not letting comfort and a thing that she is damn good at stop her from doing the thing that she has in her soul. So that is my good for this week.
Okay, that's a very solid good.
All right, how about you, Brainless One?
I'll be honest with you. I really wanted it to be Lillian Garcia because of the fact that she's back in WWE, and I'm very much happy. Even if it did cost us Samantha Irvin, I'd say probably about a wash. I'd give a little bit more of an edge to Samantha Irvin. But just because it's me and I know how I am, this week I'm going with Ethan Page Another
Okay.
human being that I've actually done a complete 180 on, albeit I've actually been more on the, one of the Page fans for a little bit longer than, some of the others, but he was somebody I didn't like when he was in AEW. He grew on me a little bit when I was still watching AEW. I've enjoyed the hell out of him in NXT. He has done an excellent job there. He came out with a diss track for Trick Williams on Twitter. I absolutely loved it just because if there was anybody out there who would make a diss track, it's this guy. Sorry. So I had to give it to Ethan Page for the diss track on Trick Williams for Halloween Havoc for next week.
But by the way, I have to give honorable mention. Tony Nese, he and his wife welcomed twin, I believe it was boys, into the world this week. So, congratulations, Tony Nese, to you and yours. So.
Yes, congratulations, Tony Nese.
Yeah,
that's awesome, dude. Good for you, man. What do you got for your bed?
I'm also gonna go with Samantha Irvin, but it's going to be the wrestling fan fallout, the people who knew nothing about nothing and flipping out on her and telling her she's a sellout and all the nastiness.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know what you don't know, so shut up until you know something.
Yeah.
And then when you do know something, and if you could make at least a reasonable, logical, some sort of argument about, like, yeah, she's doing something terrible. All that being said, it's her life.
Yeah.
So basically what you're saying is you enjoyed her so much and you're pissed off that she's leaving, so you're like, ugh.
Go fuck yourself, bitch. Like. Yeah, I know. It's terrible. It's the dark side of the internet wrestling community that gets the reputation for a good majority of the internet wrestling community because it's not all shit and shingles.
And Chris Brown thinks that maybe Samantha may be following the Lillian Garcia path of Lillian went and did the singing thing when she left WWE, and maybe, just maybe the replacement for Lillian Garcia will be Samantha Irvin.
Samantha Irvin.
In a few years. I'd be on board with that.
Samesies. Unless they bring in Gary Michael Capetta.
The Challenger.
Funny shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. My bad for this week is Daniel Garcia. Not only because of the fact that he was Tony Khan's handpicked participant to be the guy who leads Team AEW against the plumber and the plumber and friends, union. The plumbers union. But the fact is, he came out and did an interview this week and said people make a career who had a career or might not have had a career, but they make a career on their podcast hating on AEW. Now, I give All Elite Wrestling a lot more screen time on this podcast just from my vitriol that I have of them every single week. I don't watch the product I used to. He wasn't somebody that kept me in there. His stupid dancing gimmick was part of the reason why I turned away. That and watching two grown men who call themselves EVPs doing a victory lap inside of a wrestling ring in the hometown of their biggest star who they just got fired and have not recovered from since. But the fact is that I hate AEW for all the reasons that I hate AEW for. You can't give any kind of constructive criticism towards them. If you say anything negative about Kenny or the Bucks or Hangman Page or Jungle Boy Jack Perry, they come back and they hit you with droves. They have like 6, 7 of them just come after you and they just, like, I can't do it. It's ridiculous. So the fact is that he's sitting there like people are making a career on podcasts by hating on AEW. Well, give him a reason to not hate AEW and then we could talk. But you have not done anything. You, Tony Khan, the Bucks, anybody in that company has done anything to make me want to go back and watch that shit. So instead, I'd rather come on my podcast each and every week and just absolutely dump every single ounce of venom I have on AEW. because it's more enjoyable for me that way than actually watching the product. So Daniel Garcia, you get my bad for this week.
All right.
What do you got for your brainless?
Dynamic ticket pricing. You have dynamically ticket priced many, many fans out of the opportunity of going to WrestleMania. I understand WWE is a worldwide brand and they bring people from all over to see that WrestleMania. And they could charge a premium for it. But the fact that literally 6 months ago, 6.5 months ago, Triple H said, we aim to keep WrestleMania so the average fan has the opportunity to come to the show. He was stretching it, saying it last year. This is ridiculous. Even if the price comes down 50% in the coming month, the average fan still won't necessarily be able to afford it. Like, everything else in their life is more expensive.
Yeah.
Food is more expensive. It costs you $15 to get a value menu at a McDonald's.
My car insurance has doubled in 4 years. And every year before that, it dropped. It has doubled in 4 years.
So where are the common wrestling fans able to get to this show? So it's my brainless just specifically because we heard 6.5 months ago we're trying to keep the ticket prices in line with so fans could show up at these things. I understand that they are probably going to sell out or mostly sell out both nights, and the ticket prices are what they are because there's demand for it. But if you say one thing and literally 6.5 months later it's untrue, you didn't really mean it.
Right.
I hate it.
I understand.
So I'm glad I got to WrestleMania last year.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Good shit.
How about you, Brainless One?
I know people are so sick and tired of me saying one of 3 or 4 different answers for brainless every single week, but you know what? When you
Fans?
say when you say stupid things, you get you win stupid prizes. So when Dave Meltzer is coming out and when somebody's making fun of him saying that if he wasn't a wrestling reporter, he wouldn't be doing anything of substance, and he goes, "No, I'd be one of the head, not even just a football or an NFL correspondent, a head football correspondent for the NFL." So that this dude could have went out there every single week and jerked off to LaDainian Tomlinson and freaking Michael Vick running around like a bunch of fucking jackasses like the way they
I
did.
like Dak, man.
And believe me, this is not a shot on LaDainian Tomlinson. He is LaDainian Tomlinson. He is not known as the 2 initials that people say that he is associated with. There's only one LT, people. And you know that he would have shat on frickin' Brady and Manning because they're not fun to watch. They're just going out there and tossing it. Like, I would really love to. Yeah, well, I would have said that Brady, the Jaguars would have gotten more people to tune in, but they were going up against the Cardinals
that Aaron
and the
Rodgers
Rams.
is a better quarterback than Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. How many Super Bowls does he have? 1? Okay, how long ago was that? Oh.
Fuck.
Brady's been retired for how long? When was his most recent Super Bowl? Oh, yeah.
When he was getting off the boat in Tampa Bay drunk as a skunk. The day that I loved Tom Brady after I hated him for so long. Again, another person
that would be the stuff I would expect from Dave Meltzer. Aaron Rodgers is better. Aaron Rodgers has the physical tools. He is not a leader. See the Jets.
He is a great passer. He's not a good quarterback. He has a great arm. I'm not going to take away Aaron Rodgers' ability to throw the football. I agree with you. He's not a leader. He's just not. And I'm sorry. I'm not sorry because it's the Jets, but I'm sorry. But yeah, Dave Meltzer thinking that he would be a lead NFL reporter if he wasn't in wrestling is the most laughable thing I've ever heard in my entire life, and that's why it gets my brainless.
All right.
So if you like what you've seen, whether you are a first-time watcher or a continuous fan, make sure you like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, follow us on the gram, and subscribe to us on YouTube at the letter T, the letter H, the letter E, the letter F, the letter N, MARKSDF and Marks. If you like, follow and subscribe to us, we will do the same back. That has always been our
mantra. And make sure you set up notifications so that when we are live, you will be notified that we are live so you can join in and talk about our favorite sport we all love to hate.
the New York Jets.
Yeah.
Oh, did I say it wrong? I'm sorry. It's professional wrestling, but yes, it's the New York Jets too.
Yes, it's both.
And probably right now the New York Yankees, because fuck the Yankees too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that's it, Cousin Jay. I think we've touched all bases on everything for the podcast.
We have absolutely nothing else to talk about. Nothing else at all. No people that we've already talked about, possibly in and from Minnesota.
There is one thing. What is that, Curtis Axel? Wait, hold on. Let me take a quick guess. It's because 2 days from now is going to be the 20th anniversary of one of the greatest days in my life, where the Boston Red Sox ended an 86-year curse by sweeping the Cardinals after coming back from a 3-0 deficit against the shit-fucking Yankees? No. Oh, well, whatever it is, it's got to be important anyway. So why don't you let them know, Curtis Axel, since it's not the Red Sox? Well, Brainless One, it's because today, October 25th of 2024, at an incredible 3,561 days, I, F.M. Marks Hall of Famer, is still alive in the 2015 Royal Rumble. Anyway, for episode 378 of everyone's favorite wrestling podcast, the F.M. Marks.
I'm Jay. He is.
I am the Brainless One, and you make sure you mark up
with your guac out. See you, everyone. We'll catch you next Friday.
Friday. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.